Well, I'm on the road again here. I thought I'd do a little combine talk video today. Apparently, some of you enjoy my long-winded ride-alongs here in the truck. But I kind of figured it would be otherwise. But anywho, I'll try to get some action videos of something before long. But my GoPro mount is one of the little locking clips is broke on one side right now, so I'm not sure if I've got a spare or not. But anyway, I don't quite want to just throw it out on something just yet with that broke, because it might come off and I might lose it, damage it, or worse. But anyway, but yeah, the video I posted yesterday, Mr. Bill asked how we harvested our crops, and I know there's not really any footage out there of us doing that, but I do plan to get some this year if I can think to bring the GoPro along with me to do that. But anyway, but yes, we do have a combine, and it is a 1982 F2 Gleaner Golden Harvest Edition, which I have noted in a few videos along the way, and maybe in some comments, but in some other places. But anyway, those of you that are on my Facebook page have probably seen photos of it, and I think I put one up last year. My uncle was picking with it. I took a picture out in one of the fields. I was sitting there waiting for him to top off my truck so I could head towards the bean refinery and sit in line for a few hours at night to get unloaded. But anyway, but yeah, I was just going to talk about combines today. I noted to Mr. Bill in the comments in that video yesterday that I am looking for a second combine. I don't really want to replace the F2 Gleaner. It's overall, I think, been a pretty decent combine. Yes, it's older. Yes, it's had its issues. Yes, parts are a little hard to get for it and are pricey, depending on which way you go to get them. But anyway, our local AGCO dealer here, which is not the one the Massey came from, but anywho, that dealer will outright stick it to you on parts. So anywho, I order parts a lot for the Gleaner from out west. It just takes time to get them here, but I can usually get them here for almost half as much as the local dealer can sell them to me for here. So I can usually get them and have them shipped in, including shipping, for much less. So, but anyway, I do want to. I'd like to get a second combine just to speed things up. A lot of people, I think, would probably just buy one larger combine instead of having two small ones, but I guess there's some advantages either way. The entire combine market is just stressful for me. When we bought the F2, I guess I need to go back in time here and explain. I hope I have enough time here between where I'm going to get all this out. But anyway, when I planted my wheat, that was my wheat. My uncle wasn't involved in that crop really, and the whole situation with him coming involved did not happen until we purchased that combine. But anyway, I had been looking for a combine. When I planted the wheat, I was actually going to have somebody else pick it for me. And as I started learning some things and figuring some things out, it was getting kind of obvious that whoever I got to pick it was probably going to put me last on their list, and I wanted to put beans behind that wheat, so it was a little time critical. So I came to the realization I needed to get my own combine and get it picked when it was ready, and get it out of the field for the beans. So I started looking. I thought, okay, well, I'll get something I can afford that's in decent shape, and you know, that'll do the job. Well, that's not a very easy thing to do. I looked at several combines. I came close to buying two others. There was a third in there. What we used to have was a John Deere 4400, and that's what my dad ran for years. Anywho, I'm not sure what combines he had before that. I do know there was some, but it was way long time ago. But anyway, we sold that combine after he passed, and a local guy got it and used it a couple of years, and I think something went wrong with the motor in it. I think it seized up in it or something, which I don't know. My dad had took pretty good care of that combine. I mean, it had seen better days, but it wasn't in all that bad a shape, I don't think. But anyway, something went wrong with it. But anywho, I was looking for combines. One of the ones that I came close on was a Case International 2188 that I stumbled across up Tennessee. That was, I think, of the ones I considered, that was the most expensive one. But it was well worn and abused. It had some repairs done on it, which they looked like they were done properly. It had some welds and stuff on it, but they were around the tail end of the rotor, where the belt drive on the rotor was on that combine, and that worried me a lot. He had also had some electrical problems with the combine that he actually had to have an international dealer come out and repair. So that was another thing. I was like, okay, what am I getting into here with this combine? You know, it was the entire experience of shopping for the combine was, am I going to get in over my head here? And the other thing was, the case was, it was just a mammoth combine. For our size operation at the time, which, you know, we're bigger now. We're going to be up to 175 acres of beans now this year, but It was just the case was a big combine. And I was leaning heavy towards getting it. The guy had 2 of them, and he had obtained this combine from a guy that I think passed away. He was actually in the process of making the repairs to the rotor, I believe, when the guy passed away. So the guy that bought it knew the guy, knew the combine, so I think they bought it out of like an auction of that guy's equipment, and they got all the pieces, parts, and finished repairing it, putting it back together. But anyway, I was on the road one morning going to look at a John Deere 9400 combine, which was the second one I came close to buying. And if it had not been for this F2 that we got having popping up online one day, and my uncle noticing that combine, which he wasn't in the shopping part of it with me until then, I would have probably bought that 9400 combine. But anyway, I was on the road one morning going to look at that combine. I actually took one day and I went, oh goodness, I looked at a bunch of combines in one day. But anyway, I got behind a Case International combine on one of the country roads. It was late in November, early December, when I was looking, and there was still some people harvesting. So I got behind that combine, and I mean, it just took up the whole road. And the guy was just having trouble with traffic, oncoming traffic, and just mailboxes and road signs, and just he was having a time getting that thing down the road. And I realized right then, I thought, no, this just isn't, it's just too big, you know, this isn't for me. And so anyway, I went on, I looked at the 9400 twice. I went up once and looked at it by myself, and it was a little smaller overall than the Case International was. But still, it was just, it was like I think an 89 model, 89, 91, somewhere in there, and it was just used and abused. I mean, it had a lot of wear on it. You know, it seemed to run out okay, and you know, it had some things I noticed that needed to be addressed on it, but you know, I just didn't know a lot about it, and you know, I was kind of nervous about getting it, but it felt just small enough to do what, you know, what I needed, but it was still a big combine. But anyway, went up, looked at it one day, and when I left there, I drove all the way up to Tennessee. I actually stopped, looked at one combine. I think it was a M2 or L2 Gleaner. Had rear wheel drive, or rear wheel assist on it, and I think it had a couple of heads there. But anyway, it looked pretty bad shape. But that combine sat there on the road for a long time. But anyway, I went on up to Tennessee and looked at an F2 up there that I knew about, and that combine was not in bad shape. It was a hydrostatic. I can't remember if it had the electric over hydraulic controls or not. But anyway, I was considering that combine, and I got to looking around. I found where there was some cracks on the combine, in the frame of the combine, going on towards the back, and they were not welded. I mean, there was cracks there, and don't know what it had hit, but in the back end of it had some damage. The guy that actually had it, he actually had a few combines there. He sells some farm equipment. But anyway, he had backed it into his truck and busted out his windshield in his truck. It still had some glass back there, I think, on the straw chopper and whatnot. So, but it had been in the back a little bit. But anyway, he had a John Deere 4400 there that looked really nice that he'd got from up north, and but it didn't have air conditioning or anything on it, and had the small tires. It didn't have the bigger flotation tires, and he wanted a lot for it. I considered that one, but I never pursued it too heavy just because I felt like he wanted too much for it. But anyway, so back to the John Deere 9400 that I was looking at. I actually decided to go up and take another look at that combine. It was at a Tri-Green dealer, and I was trying to work with them on running it through their shop and whatnot, and they were kind of hee-hawing around about that. But I decided, I called my uncle up one day. I said, hey, I'm going to run up here and look at this combine. I would really like to have a second set of eyes to look over this combine before I buy it. And he said, yeah, I'll ride up there with you one day. And we didn't really farm together any until that point. You know, we'd help each other out on things as need be, because we live close to each other. But anyway, he went with me. We looked at the 9400, drove it around, ran it, whatnot. You know, found a few other things that kind of raised some questions. But anyway, that morning he had got around looking online and had found this F2. Our face, he found a guy that had two F2 gleaners. So we went up, looked at the 9400. We got done. We pulled up that ad. Lo and behold, it was like 15 minutes from where we were, which we were about an hour and 45 minutes from home where the 9400 was. So I called the guy up. He said, "Yep, they're still here," and I got directions from them. We went right on over there. And of course, we didn't know it. There was actually another guy on the way that wasn't far from where we lived that was coming to look at those combines too. And we actually beat him over there to them. So we looked at both the F2s he had. One was a little bit older than the other, but they're both in real good shape. The one we got was hydro. The other one was gear drive. But we walked around the F2, and I went around it, and you know, the guy was asking a fair price for it. It wasn't too bad. But I went around the gleaner. We started up running it. I knew I wanted it. After everything I had looked at in the combines, there was no question in my mind I was getting that combine because it was just in that good a shape. I had not. You know, most of these combines are just dragged out, and especially that old. But anyway, I knew I wanted it, and my uncle that morning had mentioned, you know, possibly wanting to do a little row cropping, and that he might be interested in going in halves on the combine. Did that. So I reached the point where I was going to get it, and we were standing there, and I looked at my uncle. I said, you know what, you want in on this or not? Because I'm going to get it. And he kind of stood there and he looked up at it. He looked back at me and he said, yeah, I think I do. So you know, we told the guy we'd take it there on the spot, and me and my uncle proceeded to half it, 50-50, and so we both have equal shares in the combine now. But yeah, the other guy that was on the way to look at it showed up, I mean, just right after we told the guy was going to buy it. And he was coming just to look at that hydrostatic drive F2 Golden Harvest Edition. And he had an F2 already. I think it was gear drive. He pulled up, and you know, the guy told him, well, the guys just bought this one. He said, well, Flitter, I drove all the way up here just to look at that one. So he got back in his vehicle and left. We didn't know he was coming. You know, we didn't know it until he showed up. But anyway, we got it. But yeah, so that's the story on the F2 right now. And I was so relieved to get that combine. I remember going home that evening, and not only getting it for the price we did, but, you know, halving it with my uncle. I mean, I didn't even have the whole amount in it, and it was in really good shape, and it was just, you know, felt like a big burden had been taken off my back having found that combine, because I had looked at so many that were just, I felt like I was going to get them and they were going to be a pile of problems, and you know, I was looking at combines that they needed a lot of work done to them, you know, to even buy them, and it was hard to spend that much money on something, realizing that you were going to have to put a lot of money into them after the purchase. So that was kind of my gripe on that, and it just kind of overall stressed me out. So here I am again, kind of halfway got my foot in the market for a second one. I'm not in a huge hurry for one, but I feel like we're getting up into a point of acreage here that having a second F2 would be a big help when I'm around to run too. My uncle runs the combine a lot during the week when I'm at work. He gets the truck loaded up. When I get home, I jump in the truck and go sit in line all night and get unloaded so he can go at it again the next day. But we'll both run it, just depending on what's going on. Usually if he's picking beans, I'm either finishing up hay or in the process of getting ground prep for planting wheat or other things. See, the first year of wheat, I did all the picking on that wheat since it was my crop. I was kind of learning the combine and getting used to it. The place we sell our wheat to really likes the cleanness of our wheat. I've heard the term the silver seeders used a lot. If you've got seed coming out of the back of your combine, I don't care what brand it is, you don't have it set right. And I don't know what the mentality is with some of these people that run combines, but they go to the field, and if something's coming in the bin, they think they're good, you know. And you know, I've spent, me and my uncle together spent a lot of time stopping and making adjustments to our gleaner and trying to get it set just right. You're gonna have a little bit of seed come out of the bag, and I mean small amounts, even with the new combines in the market. It's just gonna happen. But if you understand the process of your combine, I don't care what brand it is, if you understand it good enough, you're going to know how to set that combine to not lose any grain and still keep your grain sample clean. Yes, it is a very narrow window of setting your combine there to keep grain from going out of the back of the combine, but yet maintain a cleanliness of the grain that's not going to allow you to get docked when you sell your grain. So that can be a little frustrating when you get into the field, because you want to get going, but you know, you just got to stop, take the time to do it right. I've made notes and wrote down all the settings between wheat and beans on our gleaner, so I can convert back and forth between the two and be, you know, pretty much right on where it needs to be set. But conditions change, and you need to compensate a little bit sometimes. But yeah, I mean, any of these combines will throw grain out of the back of them in a hurry if you don't set them right. So that's just that. But one of the places we carry our wheat is a feed place, and they really like our wheat. They don't want to have to clean their grain, and they appear to really like our wheat. They've made good comments about our wheat and the cleanliness of it. So that's good, and that's why I like the Gleaner. I would like to have another Gleaner. A lot of people around here run the Case Internationals, and there's several John Deeres, but around here it's mostly Case International. But I just don't feel I need a combine that big, and you know, we haven't got docked for you know, foreign matter and trash in our beans, anything. The only thing that we've been docked for is moisture, between that 13 and 15% moisture range. And the only reason we did that was because if you get your grain there early enough, you get extra money. And so you can afford to take a small amount. You know, say it's 13.5, 14% moisture. The dockage fee is very small compared to the extra money you're getting for getting them there early. So you can kind of take that. But once it gets over on the year, you try to get them down under. You know, the mark is 13% moisture. You're going to get the most money, the most bang for your buck at 13% moisture. It's hard to nail that right on the head. And as you go into the season and things keep drying out more, you know, you start getting down 12, 11%. I think we've had some down close to 10% moisture. But anyway, yeah, sitting in the lines talking to some of these guys that are actual farmers and not just truckers that are hauling grain, you know, they're like, oh, you're not getting docked, you know, for any foreign matters. Oh, we're running a Case International, you know, so kind of get the feeling these Case Internationals don't clean the grain as good as the Gleaners do. So, and you know, over the years, you know, listening to older farmers that, you know, that may not farm anymore or whatnot, you know, that used to run combines. I've heard this so many times from older farmers. Oh, if I just had a good old F2 Gleaner. There's a lot of people. I heard my dad even say that. I even heard one of my other uncles he had a 4400 John Deere combine too, and he didn't even sell it. He tore it down and sold it for parts when he quit row cropping. But and he was one of the ones. I was consulting with him on combines when I was looking, and he was leaning me towards an F2 Gleaner. He had been down the road and knew enough that he knew I needed to be considered an F2 Gleaner. And you know, I wasn't too sure about him at first, but yeah. So back to looking at combines again. I would pick up another F2 Gleaner in a heartbeat if I could find a good one. I have looked at a couple already, and over time this past winter and whatnot, and they just weren't. They reach that point where they're only good for just about parts. You're going to put more money and time into them than they're worth to get them back right, than it would be just to turn them into scrap for parts. It's getting hard to find a good one, and maybe having bought the one we got, I may be expecting a little too much, because I would like to find another one in the condition it is. Not saying they're not out there, and I know they are, they're just not around here. I'm going to have one trucked in if I go that route. But the Gleaner is, you know, like I said, the only downside of it is if you have that particular part go bad one day that you have to order, you're going to be down a couple of days. And my thought is, if we got a second Gleaner, at least one of them would still be running while we wait on parts to get the one down going. So that's kind of my thought process there. To replace the Gleaner with just one combine would put us back in the same scenario. If something breaks down with it, you're just down until you get it back up. So I'd like to keep two around, whether it's another F2 or even a bigger series. I noted in my comments to Mr. Bill that I would consider an R40, R50, R42. I'd really like to have an R42. They're just not easy to find. An R52 is a little easier to find, but I don't feel like I need to. I don't have to have an R52, but I could still get one of those models and still keep the F2 around. I really don't know nothing about them. I haven't really researched those that much. I don't know if they're that good of a combine or not. I know where an R42 is right now. It's it looks like it's in really good shape. I haven't looked at it in person. Photos don't always tell the whole story. You know, that I know. But that one I would, if the price was right on it, I would almost buy it sight unseen and have it trucked in here. But they want a good bit for it. They want more for it than 2 or 3 R52s that I know of right now. But I'm still not sure I want to spend that much money on one. So that said, I think I would buy an F2 or an F3. I've run across some F3s lately. Usually they're a little rarer than the F2s, but I have run across some F3s. But again, the whole combine market just stresses me out, and I don't like it. And the problem is, about the mid 80s to the late 80s was the end of the small farmer combine. The F2s, the F3s went away. The John Deere 4400s, the 4420s, and all of them went away. They didn't produce them anymore. Everything went big, and too tailored to the big farmers. And you know, I understand the theory of getting as much crop in as quick as you can, and you know, but with the big combine comes a big price tag, and for us small guys, it's just, they're going to be they're just hard to manage and deal with. So all that leaves, I mean, there's nothing newer being made that fits that small market, small farmer market in row crop. So, and I can't afford a $300,000 combine. I can't afford a $100,000 combine. I can't afford a $50,000 combine. I'm going to go cheap on a combine. So when the small combines quit being made, the only option was for us small guys was to keep running the older small combines. So what has happened is, slowly but surely, these small combines of the 80s and the 70s are slowly getting wore out to the point where they're good for nothing but parts, and they're getting harder and harder to find. And that's what makes it stressful for my situation and my size farming. Yes, I could go buy a big combine in 90s, early 2000 models in my price range. I could afford. I really don't want to spend that much, but the same thing. For them to get down into a price range that I can afford, they're wore out. I mean, they're slap used and abused. And you know, I can look hard enough and find a good older, smaller combine in better shape and probably cheaper than that. So that's kind of the situation. So I've gotten to the point where I'm considering combines in that very late 80s to early 90s, which would be in that R40s, 50s, R42s, R52 Gleaners range. Again, I like the Gleaners. I like the design of the Gleaners. I don't care if you call them a silver cedar or not. I'm the firm believer that if you set them right, that won't be happening. Yeah, I just don't know a lot about the newer ones. Somewhere in there, Gleaner went to the air-cooled Dutz diesel engine. I don't know a thing about those. The first thought of an air-cooled diesel engine to me just sounds like trouble. I don't. Maybe that they may have been good engines. I know they're still in them. The people still run them. I don't know what kind of life expectancy to expect out of that Dutz diesel engine, but I know a lot of them of that time frame have those engines in them. So I just need to do a little homework on that before I dive into one of those. But again, like I said, I'm keeping my eyes open for a good F2 or F3. I know where some are right now that are up north I could have brought in, but I really don't have the time right now to take a road trip and look at them, and I really don't want to buy one sight unseen. If the right pictures are there and it looks like it's in really good shape, I would probably buy one sight unseen other than pictures, and have it brought down and feel okay about it if the price was right. But some of them like that, people know they're good and they jack the price up on them. I ran across was it an F2? Might have been F3. It was one of those two the other day that wanted $18,500 for one. A good F2 or F3 with a head should be around the $10,000 mark or less, preferably in the $8,000 to $7,000 range. If it is a little used and abused, it should be around $5,000 or less with heads. But anyway, yeah, the R models, the R50s. It's hard to find the R40s. The R50s are probably going to be in the $15,000 mark. The 42s and 52s are going to be on up into the 20s, and that's pushing it for what I'm going to spend, if I will even consider spending that much right now. I've spent a lot over past winter, which the Massey was just kind of a, from what I had in the 6330 and what I got the Massey for was kind of a wash. But the sprayer costs more. The seed drill I bought last year, it costs more. That all appears to be paying off in time. I mean, we're able to cover a lot more ground a lot quicker, and it's made you know, picking up more acreage a lot better situation for us time wise. So I'm not complaining there. So I'm kind of along the same thought lines of picking up another combine, just getting things picked quicker. But you know, I may decide to just go ahead and just stay with what we got this year, see how things go. I mean, crop prices are going down right now, and I just don't know where those markets are going, and it makes it hard to justify adding another asset into the mix right now. So that's the deal. Almost where I'm going. That's my spill on the combines. You know, comment as you will. But like I said, for right now, I'm gonna keep my eyes open, and if I run across the right one, I might pick up another one. If not, we'll just stick with what I got. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see y'all guys later.